I have to be a service dog.
Oh, yeah.
Turn off my phone first. I get the hottest calls from the hottest people.
Yes, sir.
Ready?
The same time that we leave it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Candlelight walk. I'll add walk. You can make a motion. You can make a motion and you can make a
Okay.
motion.
It's the same thing with this one.
Guardrails.
What?
Sorry,
Okay.
just, it's a little too brief, a little too brief. A little too brief. I'm ready. So it's, what?
I think you're Larry forward, so you have to your.
Okay.
And then we go from there.
Okay, we're gonna open the town board meeting on January 10th at 6:30 PM and we're gonna take a motion of who's gonna chair. Okay,
I make a motion that Fred chair tonight's meeting.
I'll second that. All in favor?
I,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I am the chair for tonight. Item 2, roll call.
Kate Gladding, Fred Clark,
Here.
Wayne Ace is absent, Carl.
Here.
Walser,
Here.
And Arlen. Cox.
Here.
Item 3, approval of last month's minutes.
Arlen, you had a few changes, under 21 Anderson Farm Park, the candlelight was canceled. It's the candlelight walk was canceled due to the weather. And then on 23 Ace reported the guardrails are completed. It was the guardrails on Lincoln. So I'm just gonna add the word on Lincoln and candlelight walk. So that it can bring some clarity.
And I have a motion to approve the minutes with those changes.
So moved.
So moved. The second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I,
Same sign. Opposed? Motion carries. Financial report and payment voucher approval.
Financial reports are gonna be on page 7 and 8. And then the payment approvals are gonna be on 9 through 13.
So looking at them, Marlon?
Speed reading. We'll assume this is, there we go. Standard, is there anything outstanding in here that could be noted?
You will see the balance is $4 million, and that is because this is January, we have to make our settlements to the school district, to Dane County, so it's a fairly large payment. If you're
It will
talking,
be large payments will be also going out.
yeah, payments will be going out, yes, to the school districts and Dane County for their share of the taxes we collected, and then we have to pay them.
I would move to approve the financial report and payment voucher as presented.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5, Dane County Sheriff Deputy Barton.
Oh, no, oh, yeah, sorry, he's not here tonight, sorry. He's coming next month.
Okay.
But in the packet there, he did give you some statistics on what they were for.
Yep.
2022.
Now, all those calls are for the precinct, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 townships.
I think that's just for the town of Oregon, correct?
I
Did I
have
think
not seen the data, so I mean. Yeah, I might be able to tell you.
it kind of like
Oh, no, there'll definitely be, well,
the town of Oregon's 2022 statistics.
And a total of 809 calls.
yeah, that looks like just his tag. So he's responsible for these communities. The statistics that you have are just for the town board.
I'm sorry?
The deputy has just his tag on the front, on the top there, that part where you see Cross Plains, Middleton, Blue Mounds. That's just the areas that he's responsible for. But the statistics that you have are just for the town of Oregon.
For the town.
Just for us.
Yes, just for you. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for clarification. Item number 6, public comment. Anybody like to speak about anything that is not on the agenda? Mark O'Brien.
408 Glenway Road. I wish the deputy would be here because we have not seen a squad car on Glenway Road in a couple months.
Okay.
The traffic is back up 75, 80 miles an hour again.
And Jason Marshall.
Jason, 96 Road. I gave Jennifer some copies that come from the Land Commission handbook. And I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention. There's 2 or 3 items circled there. On some of the key points on how we appoint and place people on the planning commission. I think for future, putting future people on planning commission, I think this is something that should get looked at. We're kind of getting very lopsided with the committee right now. We're not getting a big enough overlook, I don't know what you call it, or diversity of the people in the township. We're really going one direction with it, and it's I don't think that's a great way to be. So we printed them off and you guys got them, you can read them. Future use, do what you want with it. I think it's something you guys should really I don't know what standards were held when you place them on, but I think this is something that needs to kind of get addressed a little bit.
Anybody else, public comment? Brian.
Brian Richards, 5441 County Road A. I'm gonna address Torque again. I'm gonna try not to be repeating myself. I'm trying very hard to look at both sides of this and try to understand why we've come to the conclusion we have. And it's still not very clear to me. So I'd like to state some points, maybe ask some questions if that's possible. I'll try to be quick. There is no majority. Even those with curbside, probably they can and probably do use Torque occasionally. Do they want everyone in the town to be mandated to go to curbside also? There is no real accurate count, but I will say this. I found in our recycling grant thing here, sorry, I'm a bit nervous. There's question number 5. Do a majority of your residents use curbside or drop-off collection for the recyclables? Does drop-off. So we do have that. Or at least somebody's answered that question. So I would like to put that to rest. We don't have a majority, or if we do, the town board has already stated, the majority is drop-off still. There's no real savings to the members of this town. Maybe it looks good on the budget, but it is not cheaper. It was 90,000 in 2021. I know they're higher in 2022. But switching to Pelletary, the cost to us members of the town is $201,000. 90,000 in 2021. That's still $100,000 more. It is not cheaper. I know we can break this down by household using different statistics. I appreciate that. That looks good to people, but overall, it does cost more. They're a for-profit company. It is going to cost more. So I would like to say, can we agree there's no majority? Can we agree there's no cost benefit to the town as a whole? So then I'm trying to realize what advantage do we have? We had a chance to implement a window sticker. It's in the ordinance. This wouldn't have been hard to do, simply doing that. I know the costs were starting to look high. We were whipping out numbers with really no data. $100, $150, but we were basing that by multiplying how many people we think are using Torque. The problem is the people using it, there's a lot of people using it for free. I don't know how many people drop oil off there. That's probably not a big number. How many people bring brush? That's a nice thing to do once a year, yard cleanup. But what other things does that cost? We have people running Torque that aren't paid for. They're paid for by our punch cards. So us bringing garbage in, we're paying for the employees, we're paying for the lights. where, we're paying for recyclables now. We're paying for everything. We're paying for the repairs on the tractor. That pushes the brush that people bring in for free. Okay, so here's what a window sticker could do. It's already on there. We simply could implement it. It's already in our ordinance. It'd be a fairer way of paying for torque as a whole, and it could cover the loss. It will identify residents. It will stop people who aren't supposed to be there from coming there. It will raise the revenue we need. It will give us an actual number of who uses it. If people are really switching curbside, and that's the reason for our revenue loss, we'll have real numbers to prove that. Look, we're just not selling the permits. People want torque like a park. It's a community space. I've heard a lot of people say this, a place where neighbors gather. It's a real benefit, as is a park. The park raises no revenue, so we simply provide it. Should the board see this as a benefit to residents, not just a financial burden? Aren't parks a financial burden? Towns are still where you find recycling centers. It's part of rural life. Those who have it want it. Now, I have a spreadsheet to back up some of these numbers. It'd be really easy to figure out how much could we actually charge. It was submitted by a neighbor of mine. I know it was submitted, that maybe the committee saw it. I know there was a lot of proposals, a lot of numbers, a lot of ways to look at it. But one thing that was surprising to me on this spreadsheet is that if you took this special charge and you use the same numbers that Pelletary is going to charge us. I know they look good, but if you use those same numbers, we wouldn't have to charge a punch card, window stickers, or anything. And we would come out with $122,000 surplus a year. That should be shocking. But that's how much money is really going to go pass through right to Pelletary. We could save this. I might say a smarter thing to do. We have a contract with Pelletary till 2025, right? We're going to buy out of this contract, which I read later is not really a buyout. We're going to continue using torque. We're going to pay $13,000 to remove the compactor. And now we have no revenue of a punch card or recyclables, which we put the burden on now. Wouldn't we have more negotiation rights? We could negotiate better with waste management because we're not stuck with Pelletary. 2025 would be a good time. Our contract expires. We have good numbers. We can raise revenue in the meantime with a sticker. And we can say now, are we getting to the point we need to look at curbside? Are the numbers starting to make sense? I understand eventually these numbers may flip. It doesn't make sense to keep torque anymore, but I don't think we're there. And I think 2025 is a fair time to say, let's let this contract run its course. Let's not add extra expenses of keeping torque running and making everybody do curbside. If it's not that popular, could we keep everybody happy with a sticker? We don't have to use a special fee for everybody. We can make a sticker. We have said we'd pay more. But you won't listen to that. You won't implement it. You won't say, yep, we'll use the ordinance to say, we're going to charge for a sticker. We're going to help take care of this cost. So wouldn't it make sense to just say, let's just back up. Let's stop. And let's try this. And let's see in a year's time, can we gain the money back? Can we keep operating? And if we can't, by 2025, our contract's over. Now let's have some real negotiating power with both companies. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Going back.
Okay, I'm Ivan Grislis, 326 Wilderness Way, and below board, public, Paragon Observer somewhere. Anyways, I have some comments on torque also. So yeah, I was rereading the minutes of the last committee meeting and looking up the budget and running a lot of numbers. And at that last meeting, it said there was a budget shortfall of about $60,000 last year at the court. And in the information package for 2021, which would be the year before 2022, Lori said it was 21,556. I wrote the posted budget for the 2021 actual. You take stately recycling grants and punch cards are the revenues. Solid waste salaries, town share, social security, solid waste expenses and state requests. The recycling funds expended at the expenses. Anyways, we lost 22,841 in 2021, but not 60,000. So that's kind of strange. And then the committee decided low cost and sustainable. Let's shut down Torque and have mandatory recycling. And there wasn't really any thought like how much is Torque going to cost after no one's taking garbage there and recyclables anywhere. I mean, there'll be punch cards for the big garbage dumpster. What's the estimate? I don't know. Anyways, so 2021 wasn't as bad as it sounded. 2022 is a lot worse. The budget said there would be a $40,650 loss. And the reality was 41,921. But that's not really as bad as it sounds, strangely enough, because there was what I call the punch card debacle. In 2021, punch cards were $40 for 20 punches. 2022, they're $60. So a lot of people loaded up on punch cards. And in fact, there were $13,000 extra punch card sales in the last 2 months of 2021 that were lost to the 2022 budget. And it gets worse, because if you bought them at the higher price, that would be $19,590 in $60 punch card tickets that we lost from 2022. So you could offset that $40,000 loss and say it wasn't quite that bad. And let's see. And then going forward, we're the budget for 2023 is a $44,300 loss, which is kind of consistent, maybe going up. And this is budgeted. The way these numbers are, they're budgeted. If we had just let it roll, no extra punches, no reduced hours, no mandatory curbside, we lose $44,300 according to this. Okay, but things have changed and you guys fixed everything. Thank you. We said you could do it and you did it. Now instead of one punch, a week from me, if I bring I'm calling 2.5 punches. For me personally, I have like 1 unit of garbage, recyclables to 2 units of garbage. And that's with Pelletary estimates. They give you 1 container for recyclables and 2 for garbage. So it's 2 to 1. So I'm saying the punches went from 1 punch to 2.5. I think it's a fair estimate. I mean, I'm saying it accords with my usage. Other people may vary, but this is what Pelletary estimates for how much junk we produce. So, and then you can look at the hours, and the hours went from it was basically on the average 11 hours a week, and now it's 5.5. I think I'm not allowing for the extra hours when the guys get in there in the winter and to plow the lot and things like that. But so a rough estimate, it's like 0.5 is the hours. So you can take the spreadsheet and then it's paper. Once you reduce all those, some of the numbers. Basically, here it is. Basically, state recycling grant stays the same. Punch cards go from $35,000 to $87,500 with a 2.5x factor. Solid waste salaries go from $29,000 to $14,500, and Social Security $2,800 to $1,400 with a 0.5 factor. So bottom line, revenues $104,500, expenses $80,400, $24,100 in the black. So you guys did it. Torque is this. I don't see why there's a reason to close Torque. If you'd done this first, then you couldn't say, oh, there's going to be a 60,000 loss and we have to do something. You know, I think you guys did it in the wrong order. But right now, I don't see what is the financial reason to close Torque. And in fact, 24,100 is quite a lot to be gaining, to be profiting. It's actually 68,400 from the posted budget that you budgeted for 2023. So those changes made quite an improvement. And there's also the possibility of having stickers or something instead. You could have like not charged for recycling disposal and just had a 2x factor on the punch cards. And you'd still be making money for it. So. Yeah, I'm just like running the numbers from the posted budget. There's no longer a product, there's no longer a financial problem as far if we continue as we are. So why are we closing? Okay, that's my piece.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Cheryl Sander, 467 Union Road. That was really interesting and I wasn't going to start what I had to say by that, but I find it really interesting that there are other people in the audience, other residents, that have taken some of the information provided through the budget and otherwise, and they've done an analysis to kind of show that we possibly don't have the kind of loss. And I think that what had happened is that the board had presented to the public that we're going to close Torque because we have a loss. Well, part of the reason that we've had so many people here over the last few months is because people have been upset. Not necessarily because we had to go to Torque or go to curbside if that turned out to be the case, but they were upset because they felt we hadn't been notified. And I think we can all agree that was the case. I mean, I can look through minutes at numerous committee meetings and board meetings where they talked sometimes half a dozen times at a committee meeting about sending out postcards and it never happened. They talked about the referendum question, which had been drafted and never put on the ballot. So there were so many times when I think the board and committee recognized that we need to let people know. But I can tell you, based on last week when the letters got put in everybody's mailboxes, I still ran into people last week that didn't know all this was going on. But based on the fact that we're now seeing people here that have taken these numbers and worked through an analysis, it appears from the things we've heard from the board, we didn't hear an analysis. All we heard was we're losing money. And then somebody throwing out a random number about what we have to charge on for a sticker, but it was never put into an analysis to help understand why we're losing money. And it's the first time that I've just really been seeing this happen among the residents, that people are pointing out that either we're not losing money or we wouldn't have to lose money. Because that's another thing too. You know, I don't know. I mean, my understanding was that Fred was managing Torque. Now, maybe that's false information. Or if you did, Fred, I don't know for how long you had managed Torque. But if there was a failure down the road, we can't necessarily blame it on one person. You know, Fred's managing Torque. He's got board members. He's got other members of the town that can help. And, you know, when I came to the first meeting in November, when you guys voted on this, a resident got up and made a really good statement of saying a lot of what I just said now, that we're upset because we didn't know about it. Why didn't you ask us for help? And I guess that's the point I'm making. If Torque for the last year or 2 years was losing money, and if somebody was managing Torque and couldn't see a way out, we have people in the town that are willing to help with that and contribute to that. So one other thing I noticed, because I've been obviously looking through a lot of minutes and a lot of committee meetings and information, and we all have, I guess, but that joint, I asked Jennifer about it last week, but we don't have minutes from that September 22nd meeting. And I'm not sure why. That was our joint meeting. That was the committee and the board that met. And I don't know if there was any important stuff in there that would have led to the vote come November 4th. I don't know, but you know, I think it's important to have all the information. So in me summing up, I would say that all this information that people are trying to analyze, I think should have been done on your side as well. So it's not all about the long driveways, but it is the rural community. And it is the difference between some of us that live in the country and some of you that may live in neighborhoods, and that makes a difference. Some of that could be split up differently too, among how we do things. Pelletary doesn't have to go down the roadside and pick up everybody's garbage, whether we're country or in a neighborhood, you know. Maybe people that do have curbside could negotiate to have some type of group contract in that regard. But I'll end by saying, I hope that some of this information that's been talked about, that's been given to you, that's been presented to you can be thought about, and that you can continue to think about not having to rush it. I'm glad you haven't rushed in and signed the contract, because if we're not going to start till July 1st, even at that point, if it happens, it's not like we have to sign tomorrow. We can still look at this information. So, thank you.
Anybody else, public comment?
Dave Osborne, 434 Murray Road. Just the one thing that hasn't been said tonight is simply that for quite a few of us, it's almost impossible or very difficult for us to use curbside. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, item 7, discussion and possible approval of purchase of 2022 250 truck. Ryan?
Yep, Ryan Zerklu, Town of Oregon Public Works. So I'm here just I guess, fill you all in on what's going on with that, if you don't already know. The one we've had ordered for a year and 5 months, it's still not made. It is still in the order bank, but I just talked to him here a couple weeks ago, or last week, actually. Looks like it's not going to get made. So what they do have is they have one that came in their lot where we ordered it. Exact same thing, but it's white. It is available for us if we want it. It is more money. And in saying that is the municipality discounts for this 23 are gone. That's a Ford thing. I think some of them have gotten away from them. So it is a little more money. I was able to negotiate with them to get it down some. In saying that, they are gonna include, they will throw mud flaps on it and they'll give us free oil changes for life. So they know kind of where we sat. And they feel bad that their hands are tied as well. So you do have a sheet showing, okay. And then so I guess what I'm doing is just seeing if you guys would approve that. If so, I will take care of getting that done. The reason I'm asking to do that is because I don't know, we got lucky that they even had one come in. It was basically stripped down the way this one is. I don't know, it might be another year before they get one. Well, that's where we're at. That's basically the cheapest one I could find. That will suit us. And then so I'd like to get your approval on that, if so, and then. If we do go that route, we have a guy that's interested in our current parks truck. So I would like to take the money we get for that, which isn't a lot. Because it's 22 years old and needs some work, obviously. We're gonna have to get it decaled. We're gonna have to get some safety strobe lights on it. And then I'd like to get a toolbox put in there / fuel barrel put in there. And we could take the money for our old truck to put towards that. So, any questions on?
Harley, any questions?
Just for record, how much more is this than what had been approved before?
The first one was around, Jennifer, was it 38?
Yeah.
38 something.
Mhm.
So we're about 15 grand more. Or the 38 as
Same truck,
as a
different
base
one.
price, or with all the options included?
They're equipped almost identical, other than I think one has carpet, one didn't. You know,
Okay, you had, to make sure I'm comparing apples to apples. The regular price that you have here is 43,235 for this truck down Evansville. Plus the option, so is the 38,000 the bottom line
right.
number?
On the first truck, 38 was the bottom. Because of the municipality discount was quite large. And in 23, you can't get it.
And what is the issue on waiting for that to come in?
Okay, the first one. The first one has about 2 to 3 weeks, and if it's not made, it's just gone, deleted. And then we could be waiting another year or more for something.
At that price?
You'll never. get
No,
that price.
that price is gone.
That's our meeting.
Yep, that price is gone.
So the truckers don't want, there's nothing on the assembly line, nothing in the delivery track.
No, and those guys, let me tell you, the guys down at Evansville Ford do not care for me a whole lot, I don't think. Cause I call them like, well, I was calling them every month. Hey, what's going on with this truck? And their hands are tied. I guess basically what they told me is. That truck was ordered under a fleet discount, municipality discount. And all fleets. Are bottom of the list. That's least priority for Ford is the fleets. They're taking care of. Residents and individuals for their trucks. So. I don't know what they're doing or why they're doing that. I suppose they're figuring that they can't make trucks quick enough and. Why are they gonna give people discounts on them or whatever, but. We can't build them fast enough anyway. Harlan, are you done?
No, I'm trying to ratchet through, seems to be, like we had a contract with them. And we're not getting any satisfaction for them pulling out of the contract. And so that's why I'm struggling a little bit because I was not here when.
Well, and
it was ordered.
it's not just singling us out. I've heard that all over the country. Even with people I know that aren't municipalities that has had trucks ordered. And they can't, I have a good friend of mine that actually ordered one. He was not able to get it right away and he signed a build sheet. But he didn't sign a purchase order. And when it came there, the cost to build these things have went up significantly. And when this truck came in, it was like 6,000 more than he originally ordered it for, just because of the price of material. And that's what you're seeing. That with and without the municipality discount. So I mean.
Yeah, it's not uncommon because even in the fire and EMS districts, Belleville needed to buy a truck, a replacement truck. The price went up 100,000 plus in the course of a couple of months. And so there was no choice. There was just no choice, no other option. You couldn't buy the cheaper truck because it didn't exist and that price was not good anymore. So I feel like we're in the same situation as this. What we were comparing to in the previous model year isn't there. It's just not there.
Right.
And the current truck is 22 years old.
You think we'd get I don't know, couple thousand for the old one?
We should get 2,500.
2,500.
Give or take.
Oh, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Got the numbers in front of us. I had 2022 F-250 truck. I have a motion to approve.
I would move to, well, let me ask just a question. Do we need to also, I don't think we can approve the sale of the old truck because it's not on the agenda. Does that sound possibly accurate?
I mean, we've never really, I don't know if there's a dollar value, but it's a pretty low.
Okay, so,
dollar value.
okay, so historically not. Okay, I would move to approve the purchase of the 2022 F-250 truck from Evansville Ford.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, go to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Go buy your truck. Communication of Dane County Board. Can I see Jerry in the audience? Does he send you anything, Jennifer?
Did not, sorry.
All right. Thank you. Park report. Steve.
Yes. No park meeting last month. Next park meeting will not be until March. We typically do not have park meetings in December, January and February. However, we are working on a revision of park recreation plan for the township. And I will be working with Tim Yanchek on the impact fee situation that we're involved with. And that's all I have to.
Steve. Discussion of possible action contract with Dane County Sheriff for additional patrol. You have the floor.
I can introduce myself to, I'm Terry Porter, I'm a captain with the Dane County Sheriff's Office. Just recently took over our patrol division for the county. And my predecessor, the captain that just recently left, I think that had spoken at a board meeting here about contracting to have a deputy fill additional hours in the town of Oregon. We would be doing that on an overtime basis for a deputy, so it wouldn't be somebody that was assigned here all the time. In those type of contracts, and we have them in several different townships and municipalities around Dane County. You can kind of select the times of day that you would like a deputy here, if at all. How many hours a month you might want that deputy to be patrolling and where they might patrol. In addition to that, they could also take some responsibility for enforcing some of your town ordinances that might be a priority for you as well. So they have the cost associated with that, and it's a straight overtime basis for the deputies. We do have some contracts that have full-time deputies that are assigned solely to either villages or townships, but it's very difficult for us. And I know that wasn't something that the town of Oregon wanted, but right now we're at about 40 deputies short right now, and we're really having a hard time getting the right number of applicants. We're losing people to retirements and changes in profession faster than we can get people in the door. So it would be an overtime kind of situation. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that people might have regarding the contract if you would choose to pick up some additional hours focusing on County Oregon.
Any other questions?
My only question is, do we have in the packet, is it there's a letter, or the email from yesterday, yes?
Yep.
About the cost estimates not current.
They're
Is
in
that
there,
been
yeah,
updated?
yeah,
Current?
yeah,
So
and
now
then she
they're in.
provided them, yeah, he
Okay.
provided them, so the contract I had was from September, which I knew there would be probably a price adjustment for 2023.
Right.
So he provided that to me and I was able to get that into the packet, so the packet tonight does have the new cost estimates for 2023.
Yeah, and they could probably in September when those numbers were initially presented, they didn't know what the contract was going to look like. And through the collective bargaining process, there was a 9% increase across the board for deputies' base wages. Plus, they were able to bargain in a formula that they use for some of their incentive pay to be calculated as part of the overtime. So it doesn't just affect the people that we contract with, it affects the county itself as well.
Anybody else have a question? Anybody from the audience have a question for him?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Jessica Barmack from 999 Glenley Road. I live near the Oregon Town Park, and it has that long driveway parking area. And around Halloween, I heard a really loud scream from that parking lot area. It was dark, so but it was coming from that direction. And then it really feels between the houses at my house and every house in the park. And so I called the police. I mean, I thought, well, it could just be a Halloween thing with kids, you know, but also it sounded pretty frightening. And then I timed how long it took for somebody to respond, and it was 15 minutes. And I sort of had my heart in my throat because I'm like, well, maybe it's nothing, but what if it's something? And I'm watching cars going back. The cars would leave the parking lot before. I definitely.
So there was cars there initially before.
Yeah. So I saw, yeah, so I guess, given that sort of like prime potentially big place situation there, my question is about how long it would take somebody to get there under the best of circumstances, or if we could improve that, or if there are any circumstances where we might call in somebody from the village instead, if it's time is up there.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, we operate under mutual aid agreements all the time. And it's real difficult to say how the dispatcher put that out, whether that was this is a 911 call and we need somebody there immediately. We would certainly request mutual aid from a nearby municipality, in your case, probably Oregon, should be closest. The response time is really difficult because a deputy may just naturally be close to the call to respond. And another time they might be 30 miles away to respond, or the deputy has this area in their beat might be on another priority call that was already called before this one's in. So it's hard to tell without looking at the actual call where somebody might have been coming from and whether they were operating in emergency mode to get there, and how that was dispatched out. I would hope it would have been dispatched out as a priority call for us for an emergency service and an emergency response. But I can't confidently say that it was standing in front of you right now, but I'd be happy to look at that call for service and how it came in and where they're coming.
Yeah.
But under normal circumstances, by all means, yes, we would be requesting mutual aid from somebody closer than us.
Yeah, I guess I would also just make a comment that even this may not be the only place of its kind, but it definitely is remote and convenient.
Yeah.
For something to happen that would be bad
Yeah.
to, a vulnerable person. And so I guess I would sort of request that those types of places should be on radar pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
For regular, surveillance. It's never something like.
Sure, yeah, and we certainly try to take everything as seriously as we can and get to things. We are unfortunately spread thin at times. It's a big county with a lot of land and not a lot of deputies to cover it, but we absolutely will do the best we can to get these places and do routine checks.
I have a positive comment to make about the Dane County Sheriff's. Summer before last, I live on a long driveway too, and I live on Union Road, so it's a straightaway going east to west, and then it goes either sharply north or sharply south. And there are some cars that like to really move along, and there had been a motorcycle there that had been it sounded like he was going extremely fast, and he was extremely loud. And this went on for a period of time that I would hear him off and on. So I was in the yard one day when he went by, and I had my phone. I called Dane County Sheriff, and she took the information as much as I could give her, because I don't know where he lived or anything. But I said, I'm just concerned if a child, a person, or an animal were to run out in the road with somebody on a motorcycle going that fast. And I have to say that I think that probably she looked into it, or had somebody look into it.
So I'm glad you had a good experience, and I hope that more people do.
Yeah, well, it's good to report it for good school.
That's good to hear.
Okay, I'll give a compliment. I called all the different areas that did do a contract with you.
Okay.
And I got no complaints. Everyone was very, very happy with the service that it added it, so.
Great, good. I'm glad to hear that as well. I think our lieutenants that are in charge of our precincts, they're the commanders of those precincts, select our brightest and most ambitious deputies to fill those overtime spots and avoid ones that might not be quite so ambitious. So I think that you do get some good people on those overtime basis. So I'm glad to hear that they've had good experiences.
Awesome.
Jennifer, could I ask, is this, without the change in dollar amounts,
Yes.
is this document more or less what Attorney Beckler reviewed?
I don't think you had made any changes to the contract itself.
No
You just
changes
made
at all to the
changes.
contract, just the addendum showing the estimated amount.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I made no other changes.
Okay.
And it was a little bit of a sticker shock to us too, because it was a big increase, and part of that is the fact that we're down about 40 deputies and we're competing with every other police agency in the state of Wisconsin to try to fill some of those ranks, and it's not a good situation we're in law enforcement right now. We've got a lot less applicants than we do people retiring and leaving the profession. So I always make a plug that if you have friends or family members that are interested in coming into law enforcement, go to our website, and they don't have to have any law enforcement background at all. If they're good ethical people, we'll train them the rest. So I always make my plug when I'm in public settings for getting good people into the profession. Yes, sir.
I'm again looking at the statistics that your department provided that had 809 items of service.
Okay.
And this is without you having a contract with us yet.
Correct, yes.
So I'm kind of looking, there's a lot of things here. I'm seeing over in see early on, there's a check under the C, the check area property and check person.
Yep.
And that's almost 150 items that you're checking. You say this is all for the town of Oregon?
It is, yes.
So you're coming out 3 times a week average to be checking on citizens, and that's not part of the contract that
Yeah,
we're
and some of
looking
that
at.
property stuff could be even as simple as somebody calls, or it even can be deputy initiated. There's a car parked in an area that doesn't look quite right, so they make stop and make a check on the vehicle or anything like that. Either self-initiated or called by your citizens here. So we do have people in here. All this beat is covered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay, so you make sure that people understand the difference between what we're contracting for.
Sure.
And what we have here, which appears to be some the county-wide.
Sure. So the sheriff's office already provides services to the town of Oregon. In the way we have our beats set up, when those originally were established, it was kind of broken down, and typically either 2 or 3 townships are covered by a single deputy, but it's a single deputy for first shift, second shift, and third shift. So it's 3 people really covering a 24-hour basis. And that's always mandatory. Those are always filled. They're never left vacant. So if a deputy calls in sick that's supposed to be working this area, it's covered by overtime or somebody else, and it's always covered. But with them being responsible for 3 townships, they may be spending time, roughly a third of their time in the town of Oregon. So you're not going to have 24-hour coverage here. With the contract that you folks are interested in, if you're hiring a deputy for a 4-hour shift on a Friday evening, or whenever it is you choose to do that, or an 8-hour shift, or however you work that out, that deputy will be dedicated to the town of Oregon and the town of Oregon only. They will also take some recommendations for you, saying, we have a lot of speeding in this part of Union Road that we would like addressed. The deputy will certainly go to Union Road and spend time there. Or if there's local ordinances that we can enforce that you might not be able to have, because we couldn't enforce a local ordinance under the sheriff's office, but the way this would work is that we're kind of sworn in as also an officer under the town of Oregon, so we'd be able to enforce some of your local ordinances. So that's the kind of additional thing. You would get them dedicated just during those particular hours in the town of Oregon, and have some direction on what you would like them specifically to do as far as some priorities that you might like, either speed enforcement, or say you have a noise ordinance violation or something like that you would like specifically addressed by the deputy. Does that help?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm sure there'll be more questions.
Okay, I'll do my best to answer them.
I mean, we had a situation when we started negotiating with you in a neighborhood and there was ordinances that Dane County couldn't enforce. And it was a real big problem, and that's when we decided we really need to do something.
Okay.
You know, and plus along with the speeding on the
Speeding.
highway to maybe get more people away, so.
Yeah.
That was the reason, and then, and the number one was that we couldn't enforce any ordinances, and it was a real problem.
That answers the questions. I was wondering, so how much are we contracted right now? How many hours? We have no contract right now?
You can have our negotiation.
Okay, so a contract right now, what we're trying to negotiate is sometime dedicated to specific issues and it's very clear now that if you're deputized in our town, you can enforce our ordinances.
Yeah.
That clarifies some questions.
I think the two things that prompted this were that
Right, that
neighbor
neighborhood,
to neighbor conflict, but then also the speeding
the two things.
complaints that people rightly so have brought up.
We have no way of enforcing speeding right now, really. Call it in and they're long gone.
The big problem is one-way road.
I agree.
And I know I counted the cars working the shop or whatever, and my wife is on the treadmill in the morning for 45 minutes, usually from 7 to 7:45. And she counts anywhere between 140 and 170 cars in 45 minutes. And I don't know how far it is between light poles. But if you drive it and count 1,000, 1,000, it's usually 3 seconds if you're doing 50, 55 miles an hour. And I'm quite sure all of the people on Glenway Road who have complained bitterly don't have a problem, and I don't, at 50, 55. But it's when you come over the hill, I live at 408 and 6/10 of a mile to the intersection of Bellbrook. And there's a black pickup that'll pull out and pass 6 cars and go through the intersection double. And in the summertime, your crotch rockets, there was 4 of them that go through there at least 90. On the rear wheel with the girl on the back passing 4 cars. And I know I've talked to the deputy out there and he said, yeah, we've clocked them at 92, we've clocked them at 101. Wow. And they can't catch them. But where they go, we don't know. But
The other thing I want to be real clear about, you don't have to have a contract for us don't have to have a contract with us for us to do traffic enforcement and we've had. One of our traffic team deputies used to live in the area here, Todd Hubbard. He retired a few years back, but we have a traffic team that we can try to get down to specific areas.
cow barn.
Okay,
He would nail 7, 8 in the morning.
yeah,
And then it's from 5 o'clock in the morning till about 6:30 or 7. And then 3:30 at night until 6. And they come around the corner at 552, the home farm. And they're 6/10 of a mile flat. They put their shoulder harness on and their helmet on and it's NASCAR. And they come over the hill where I live at 408, side by side. And it's another 6, 7/10 of a mile to their crowd driveway. And we do not drive our farm machinery on the road. We put a road in between the 2 farms. And last year I got hit twice with a combine. Legal width going down the road, flashers on, lights on, turn signals, and I got hit in the grain head. And then the last one I got hit with a disc vine. And there was 3 people and the lady gets out of the car and gives me a royal tune because I'm in the road. I'm stupid, you know?
well, it sounds like we got to get our traffic team down there then, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But you guys are doing a great job, and how do you cover it when you're 40 short?
Struggle, but we'll get there.
Must be some recruits here, right?
Everybody else. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure to be here and I'm glad to meet everyone and I'd be happy to hear from anybody if the service you're getting is not up to your expectations, please let me know.
Thank you.
Do you have some cards that we could have in the book?
we can't apply otherwise.
Right. You'll have to go to our website to, for an application. So, not my last one, but I gave one to Jennifer. as well. So
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll bring some more next time.
Thanks.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much.
So much.
With that, got the additional information. But I would think that we should table this until Wayne is here to help make the decisions, who's Mr. Chair. We got the information, we got some questions answered, so I think tabling this would be a good thing to do. I make a motion to table this until next month.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All same sign. Motion passes, we'll table the next month. Item 11, purchase of a laptop using 2022 election security sub-grant funds. Jennifer?
Yep. So the Wisconsin Election Commission had a grant that allows for $1,200 to use towards purchasing equipment for elections. So what we would like to do, it's $1,200 that they're going to give for that. We would like to purchase a laptop with that money. The money has to be spent by February 28th. And the cost of the laptop from Computer Magic would be $1,370, so the town would be paying about $170, $170.80 for the purchase of that laptop. So just waiting for the payment. We haven't gotten the payment, so you wanted to wait once the payment has been posted to our account. That we can go ahead and make that purchase. I think that would be an appropriate kind of motion.
Hopefully it gets you by February 28th.
As long as we have it ordered, with everything else.
No, I meant the payment. If the payment doesn't come in until after the week, you can't use it if it doesn't come in.
That's would be on their end.
So Jennifer made her spiel for a new laptop. Any questions for Jennifer?
Nope.
I'll move to your motion.
Move that we is it apply for the grant?
I've already applied for it. We're just waiting for payment on it and then making the purchase.
Okay, so upon receipt of payment that we purchase the security software for the election.
We're buying a
That's the
laptop.
actual equipment.
We're buying a laptop, but not any
It's a
security.
laptop?
It's laptop.
It is a laptop,
Yeah.
so we're purchasing. When payment comes in, purchase the hardware for election security.
Okay.
Is that sufficient?
Sure.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes, Jennifer, over your laptop.
I'll just wait till the payment comes in.
Yeah, wait for the payment. All right, item 12, approval of 2023 Wisconsin DOT specified rates. And this is something that we do every year. The DOT gives us the sheet and go ahead, Arlen.
No, go ahead.
So basically, we approve this every year. The DOT gives us the price of what things cost to run and do. And so basically, it's just a rubber stamp approval most of the time.
Are we purchasing these services from DOT? Or is this a guide to us paying others on contract or?
Charging.
Charging, it's a
What we charge for our. Okay, so this is not something we're getting from Wisconsin DOT, but what we charge to our accounts.
Sure. So like, for example, the recycling grant, we use these numbers in here for the equipment we use out at the recycling facility. We use these numbers in here when we would bill Dane County for when we would mow Anderson Park. So if we ever would need to bill anybody, we would again use the numbers that are
Okay,
provided
so it's
here.
is for our guide to charge,
Correct.
with internally or external. It's. We're looking for action.
We're looking for a motion to approve the Wisconsin DOT classified rates.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the DOT classified rates.
A motion, how about a second?
I'll second it.
Kate seconds, any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. 13. Discussion and action on ordinance number 96, town board and parliamentary procedure ordinance. And ordinance 97, ordinance to implement curbside waste and recycling pickup. So. We just got this stuff. I think that we should review it. And table this until next month. We'll come back and everybody looks over both the ordinances and see if there's any changes that they would like to make.
So we have two,
Ordinance number 96 for the town board parliamentary procedure ordinance, and 97 is an ordinance to implement curbside waste and recycling pickup.
Are these in the packet that we can review too?
Yes, they are.
There's a problem loading
you're
the packet to the
recommending table.
website, so
What's that?
that's right.
Recommending
I am recommending table.
I gotta get. to
Let's,
our
I'll
website.
make that motion to table till next meeting.
Perfect. So we got a motion to table both of these ordinances. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any more discussion on tabling? Seeing none, all in favor?
Sorry, one quick discussion. Jennifer, what's the easiest way to edit these?
Okay, so I'm sorry, I was talking to Brian, I'm sorry, we were talking out of turn, and I you made a motion to table it,
Yes.
and who seconds with that motion?
Carl
You
did.
did. Okay, thank you, and everyone agreed?
Yes. So far.
Well, we're in this discussion phase. So the
So we're in discussion phase.
question to you is like, what? You have a preference on how we get edits compiled? You tried the
Yeah.
word, yeah, whatever the,
I think that would be fine if you want to just either send them, bring them into me, like if you did it on the hard copy and you bring it into me, that would be fine. And then I could combine everybody's edits. And then next month, you could review everyone's edits in there. Would that be, if everyone just brings them to me? If you bring them into me hard copy, I think that would be fine, or email me, where they are. You have the printed packet, so maybe hard copy would be best. The ordinance, it's not super long. 3 pages.
The ordinance for curbside is just loaded with all kinds of typos and words.
From Attorney Beckler.
Yes.
Okay,
Is there any way to get some of it put back into English?
I can look it over and ask him if he can redo it.
It's got all the straight characters in it.
It's okay, well, this, yeah, really straight character.
So-
That's what I think that's what you and I were talking about. I don't know if because it came from our law firm, if they somehow did something, I don't know.
it was the conversion
Yeah,
from PDF to Word.
yeah.
And there's some words in there that are,
Right.
what are we talking about?
Let me reach out to Larry's office and let me see if I can get them to send it to me in a cleaner format. Yeah, yeah.
There's the one that I sent you to.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right.
So we could.
Yeah, you can just do that. Okay. How about if I do this? I will get a clean copy out to everyone to edit. And then if you want to pick up the printed copy, just let me know. And then you can pick up the printed copy to hand mark.
Item 14.
I'm sorry, did that motion carry?
We still need
Oh, I'm sorry.
we still need to vote.
Okay. All in favor of tabling this and getting back to Jennifer with her corrections for next month, say aye. Aye. All same sign, motion passes. We are tabling both ordinances. 14, approval of open records request form. Jennifer.
So I just wanted to, I've been getting a lot of open records requests. And one of the things our attorney suggested was that we have a form that we're going to use that we can have to pass out to people.
Already voted.
Sorry, it's right here. So the Wisconsin law form book had a recommendation of some forms, and I have some other forms from other municipalities that I could do. And just wanted to put those together and get a form. I think maybe Carl and I could also work on that. And we can get something together maybe next month for approval. That sounds okay.
Excuse me, in the back.
Folks in the
So
audience.
folks in the back, can you keep it down a little bit? We're having a meeting and we're getting a lot of back talk, getting a lot of cross talk, excuse me, going on. All right,
So we need a motion to table that one also. Or
Sure, I'll bring a form to you guys next month if everyone's okay with the
Okay.
form, if us working on a form. Okay,
That works.
okay. Just add it to the agenda for next month.
that's perfect.
Okay.
15, fire and EMS report. Brooklyn, what, Mark, you want to go?
Sure. Everything is running smoothly and going great. I guess the only big news is that when we hired Chief Mason full-time, it was a very strong request that he become certified EMT. And a month ago, he passed all of his state and national registers, and he is now an EMT on the service. We've got 5 new members coming in and 3 or 4 EMTs interested. And I think 6 out of that group are in class now. So, but I have to say everything is running smooth.
Sounds good.
Yay. Yeah.
Belleville, Carl.
Belleville is having a meeting right now. So I'll bring, once I get the minutes, I'll bring those in and we can look at those.
Wayne's does Oregon and he's not here and there's nothing in the packet that I see from that, so. 16, emergency management report, Carl.
Nothing new.
Okay. 17, plan commission report, Arlen.
Yes, there was no meeting in December. There will be a joint meeting between the plan commission and this board, I believe on the 24th. That's still the confirmed date at 6:30. And Tim and Wayne are going to be working on the agenda for the meeting. So this is review. So heads up to be reviewing the comprehensive plan that's been worked on many years now. For updating that. Yes, please review. And we're willing to move forward so we can start having public hearings on that.
Sounds good. Anderson Farm Court report. Steve, you got anything?
I have nothing to report.
Okay. Constable's report. Kurt is not here and there's no information that I see in the binder, so. Public Works report. Arlen.
Yeah, have worked on the basic specs with Able, planning on having the bids out in early February. You had checked with some of the contractors. Their summer vacation is in the winter. So they pretty much not see, they're short office staff, that's when all their vacations are. So come February is when they start working on the bids. So if we're gonna get competitive bids, that's when we're gonna be having the bid proposals out. We are looking to be having the bids back the week before our March. Our March 14th. I believe it's the 14th. March 14th, board meeting. We need, we're tentatively slated for a March 7th, 8th, or that's a Tuesday, 7th, 8th, or 9th. Opening the bids that morning, so we have time to analyze it and approve it, or take different options on the board meeting of the 17th. So we need to be having 3 board members at the bid opening. So if there's a preference for March, the 7th, 8th, or 9th, if you would be placing your preference, if you can be part of this, which of those dates work? So we're starting with the 7th.
That would not work for me.
So not work with Carl, 8th. International Women's Day,
What time are you thinking? 9 AM, 8 AM?
9 AM.
9 AM.
Wednesday,
Either the 8th or 9th works for me.
either the 8th or 9th. We need to be putting this into the bid document. So we're trying to follow your preferences. Fred, are you even available?
I'm probably not available
Okay,
at
so-
9 o'clock in the morning.
Kate,
Probably on the 8th or the 9th, I can't say,
8th or 9th?
can't say
So-
100% sure right now, though.
Okay, and then we don't know. about
People
Wayne.
don't have to stay. It's getting very, very foggy outside.
No.
Okay, so 8th or 9th is there. If you can get back to us, confirming one or the other. It's the 8th, I'll bring Bertha to you.
There you go.
Right, well, maybe I make your exception.
You might take an exception. So that, something on, that came up on the tour on Alpine Drive. We had, something. We're going through, there's a lot of issues from encroachment. That there's a lot of fences that have wandered into the public right of way. The fences are no longer being used, but the steel posts and the wires are still in the 5 to 10 feet into the right of way. And this just raises all kinds of hell with the equipment, mowing, brush trimming, ditch cleaning, everything else. So this, I think, is going to be one of the many tasks that the road committee, once it gets started, will be dealing with as to how we start clearing, cleaning the right of way. I was really shocked at how much encroachment there was that is really hindering our crews from doing their job. So whose responsibility is it to clean up these encroachments? And how do we do this? So a lot of issues. So look forward to seeing the bids out by the February meeting.
Thank you, Arlen. Pork report. So I got a phone call from Sheldon and the employees are really liking their new hours. Seems like the public is respecting their new hours and getting there in a timely fashion. There's still a couple of people that are stragglers in right at the end of the day, but for the most part, everything seems to be going well going to Sheldon. So it's all going good.
Did they have the signs up yet?
Yep, the signs are up.
And they say something about.
And they
Jobs
are,
available.
every one of them says jobs available. Yep, they are.
Okay, I'm getting conflicting things on the reports. Are we at 2 days a month?
We are every day, every Saturday from 7:30 to 1.
Okay, every Saturday.
Every Saturday, 7:30 to 1. And we are still at 2 employees, so. We just have the 2 employees, so if somebody calls in sick, work is closed. Can't have 1 employee working at a time. So there's on the bottom of all the signs says help wanted. Please apply. So I haven't heard anybody applying yet, so but they're on the signs.
What about,
Can somebody be a sub?
What's that?
Can somebody be a sub? to be, could somebody apply for a substitute position at a time when they needed somebody?
On call if somebody did
Yeah.
show up, so you have two people.
Just a thought.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility.
I just had one question. I was down there and I saw the new signs. But I was attracted to costs and I missed the help wanted. So I mean, not that I deliberately wasn't looking for it. I didn't see the help wanted. I did ask, is it Greg down there? Yep. I said, why isn't there a big help wanted sign right here, right where I dump my trash where the fees are? And he says there was, they took it down. So I don't know if somebody took it down, but I mean, just maybe a big single help wanted sign individually might draw more attention. I didn't notice that there was help wanted. So I'm just saying, it might be on the signage, but I didn't notice. Maybe better notice. But
It is on the very bottom of it.
okay,
It's in a very small font, if it's there at all.
But it's there. I was there and I looked. It's on the sign as you're coming in the torque.
maybe one right on the, because there's one sign like that by the compactor.
Mhm.
Maybe just help wanted, even if somebody drew it, whatever, right there. That's where I asked, and he said they took it down. There was one, but I don't. Maybe somebody had one written and the new signage went up or
Maybe.
something, but
Maybe,
it wasn't, I'm just saying it wasn't noticeable to me. So you are still looking for help.
we're always looking for help. I
Okay.
mean, like I say, we only got 2 employees. If somebody gets hurt or gets sick. Then the torque is closed because we can't operate with just one person down there. So
Is there, what requires us to have employees down there? The compactor or other equipment?
compactor, yeah, we gotta have somebody running the compactor.
So that's one reason why we need employees.
And we have to have somebody there punching punch cards and making sure people throw their stuff in the proper spots, because that's an issue. Of people not knowing or following directions, because you can't put treated lumber in the burn pile, so that has to go in a dumpster, and they're still. Cleaning treated lumber out of the burn pile because people can't follow directions.
Fitchburg uses at their city drop site, just camera, so that's why I was asking. They don't have an employee manning the site.
Sure.
And they have a lot of people using it.
Right.
But they have a lot of information posted and warnings. There's cameras. So I'm just wondering if there's costs going ahead, is that an option? I don't, but
The
you could.
biggest
for a
issue
compactor.
probably would be internet service to run a camera.
Okay,
So because we don't have any internet service there.
our rural broadband getting better, right? So maybe in the future.
So yeah, someday maybe in the future, but yeah, that's, so that's why we need people. Apply, fill in, whatever it might take, but yeah.
We had the other issue on that weekend, which was so bitterly cold. And notices were going around that you really shouldn't have people working there that day. It was horrible. And when the guys were asked, they said, well, there'd be so many people that would come that would be disappointed. But I think maybe there should be some policy set up. If it's 10 below zero and 20-mile-an-hour winds, it's probably not going to be open. Because it wasn't fair for them to be there. It was horrible.
I called and talked to them.
Right.
And they wanted to work, so I gave them the options and they wanted to work.
Because they didn't want to disappoint people.
And I think any of us would understand who are
Right.
getting in our cold vehicles to go down there,
Mhm.
that if it was closed due to cold weather.
Right.
I don't think you're gonna get a lot of phone calls down here.
All right, senior center report, Kate.
Well, we're having a meeting on the 26th and at that meeting, we're going to let them know that we're not going to be on work meeting. And I've gotten a lot more information from other senior centers. We're not. I went to another senior center and told them what we were paying. And she was shocked. How much? So we're trying to come up with something that's a little more in tune to what the other municipalities are in Dane County are paying for the senior centers. How much like the village would be taking from the village's revenue instead of so much from us. It's all negotiation right now. I mean, we're gonna still have it. We still want all that for all our seniors, but we're trying to come up with maybe something that we feel is a little,
More reasonable.
yes, that's the word. That's it.
So 23 is the traffic committee report, and Arlen pretty much gave us his report on the public works report. So obviously we gotta negotiate the date, make sure that's clarification, so we can go on the contract sending out for the road bid, so.
Could we set like could we set a tentative date of the 8th or the 9th, and then we could check with Wayne?
Yes,
What
I
date
think
would
that's-
be
I think, yeah, that's pretty much what we decided.
8th or 9th?
Yep.
So would you like me to just send out an email tomorrow to everybody, and then you just respond back to me with what the
Yes.
best date would be?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and at 9 o'clock work with you.
Either one.
And 9 o'clock.
9 p.m.
9 AM.
Yeah. Assessors services report.
I do not have anything from the assessor.
All right, billing inspection services report. There's some stuff in the packet. We got a few building in December. Excuse me, board communications. Anybody? Okay, 27, future agenda items, contract with the county sheriff. Amend town ordinance, vision statement, roles and responsibilities, and ARPA funds. Anybody else have anything?
I'd like to add one. We were looking at, I don't know if it's Rutland or, I think it was Rutland. They have a policy of decorum for committee meetings, board meetings, any kind of town get together or event. And they've got a draft and we can work on a draft and discuss it. I think it would be good to discuss. So policy of decorum for public meetings is what it's called.
All right. Carl? Clerk's report and loan update.
So we are now entering into 2023, so we have our loans that we're gonna be having to make in March. That would be on the last page, your packet, page 86. So we will have the loan that we took out, which was that $48,000, that is for the Oregon Fire Department. They needed to purchase new radios. Then we have the $12,000 loan for the Brooklyn Fire and EMS building. We have the $88,000 payment for the 2020 road work. And then we have the $115,000 payment for the 2021 road work and equipment. And we will make those 3 large payments in March, and then the second payment we need to make before October. So we have any time, probably wait and see how we are doing with money and get that paid when we can as soon as possible, but interest rates won't fluctuate because that's just a 1-year loan. And then in terms of clerk's report, so a few things. Back in when we were talking about the ordinance to do with the recycling center on page 63 of your packet. One of the things we need to talk about is currently right now, we get permits to burn at the torque, and we get permits to compost at the torque. They changed some rules about composting where we had to buy that thermometer to do that. So as we're looking through that ordinance that talks about what the torque is going to offer, we're going to want to consider the rules that the DNR has in place for burning and composting, and whether we're going to continue, and then who's going to be doing that monitoring of those compost piles at that time. There is the inspection sheets, I put those in that packet as well, that talks about what the DNR, so once we get these permits, it opens it up for them to come in and review what we have going on out there. And then they send us a letter and we have to respond. So we need to make sure that if we're going to offer those services, that we can meet the requirements that the DNR has for that. So that's one thing that I just would like everyone to look at.
Jennifer, the compost is pretty much done.
Is it done?
They're not doing any compost anymore. By the time it made compost, nobody needed it and it just got hauled away. So they pretty much don't do compost. They put the grass clippings and burn. Sorry, did I say that out loud? And with the leaves, the same with the leaves. When the leaves are burned, they just put it in and do that. They don't compost anymore because it was too much of a pain in the butt.
So then we probably would decide that we wouldn't want to be doing that.
Yeah, we don't have, the permit for the compost is.
And that would be, then that would answer one of those questions.
Yeah, so was there no demand? Residents didn't.
So by the, they had a pile and you have to turn it, and by the time it made compost. It was too late in the year that nobody used, I mean, a few people, but it wasn't, I mean, the pile was huge
Okay.
and it didn't. And then like say, then somebody was responsible to turn it, and then they would have to, they had a thermometer that was this long and they had to stick it down in there to check the temperature to make sure. Do we need to turn it or do not turn it?
Right.
So they pretty much decided that they didn't want to do it anymore. So.
So what about grass clippings? I'm remembering Lynn's and I are saying we're not supposed to be doing grass clippings. Do you know anything about that?
The people that limit them, yes, I mean, few people that run their grass clippings, it goes into the burn. And it's like leaves,
Okay.
because they burn the leaves, they push it in and they burn it all at the same time.
I wonder, there's a big landscaping facility right behind the facility. I wonder if they have any interest in compost. I mean, it's close by, people are still interested.
Right.
Might that be an option to talk to them?
Greenscapes and see.
Yeah, because they've got big bins and areas to handle that kind of thing, and that's what they deal with. You know, it's right around the corner. It's just a thought.
For sure. Anything else, Jennifer? Sorry, I interrupted you
No,
with the compost.
It's okay. I think that's it.
Okay. Item 29. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, second by Carl. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Meeting is adjourned. At 7:57, it looks like to me. It's a race.